Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, often criticized for taking too much punishment in the ring, but he's perfectly willing to do that just to be able to dish out some of his own punishment. And indeed, he's regarded as one of the most powerful men in the history of professional wrestling. Our guest now, the Polish power, Ivan Putski.
Welcome to episode 68 of the Monday Morning Critic. Today I have one of my all-time favorite guests. He's one of my all-time favorite people. Dobre wieczór, jak się masz? Wszystko dobrze, pan?
Bardzo dobrze, tak. A jak z panem wszystko idzie?
Dobrze idzie. For those of you that don't know, this is the Polish power, Ivan Putski. So happy to have you on the show, Ivan. How is life treating you today?
Oh, very good, I tell you. No complaints. Well, you know, I'm at my age, complaining won't do me any good anyway, so what the heck, right?
I'll take, you're in much better shape than I am. I'll take the shape. You've been in great shape, I think, your whole life. Is that true?
You know, it seems like I remember when I was even real little, when my family and I were in a Nazi concentration camp. I remember I was doing chin-ups. They had this tree there in the camp with a branch growing out. And my older brother, Fred Bednarski, by the way, he was the first soccer-style kicker in America.
Wow.
He played for Del Royal at University of Texas. After him, the Gogolags came, but he was the first one.
Wow.
But anyway, you know, he would show me how to do push. I was just a little kid, you know.
Yeah.
He was showing me how to do push-ups and then chin-ups, so I it got in my blood. So after the war, you know, we always worked out. Then I got when I was, I guess, about 7 or 8, we used to do 50 push-ups every night before we went to bed. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were how long? And that's I thought I read this and I wasn't sure. My goodness, your whole family was in the concentration camp?
Yeah, we were. Well, if we were Jewish, I wouldn't be here. But if you were a non-Jew, they'd put you in a labor camp. You know, it's concentration camp, but
yeah,
you'd be the laborer. But if you were Jewish, you know, you ended up, dying.
Yeah. Do you think about that often? You know, do you think about
Well, I was too little. I was really... You know, I don't remember that much. What I do remember is at the end of the war, when the GIs would give me chewing gum and Baby Ruth, and I never forget that. It was a spearmint chewing gum. GI gave it to me, and it was, I never tasted nothing so good. So instead of chewing it, I would swallow it, you know, because I couldn't help it. It was so good. He'd give you another stick, and he'd try to show. He said, no, you chew like this. No. I tried it. I just couldn't. It was so good and sweet. So I swallowed every piece he gave me.
That's great. And you know, yeah. I know you're born in Poland. My mother was born in Tarnów. And where were you born? Is it Krakow? Am I wrong with that?
Yeah, Krakow.
So talk about how many years did you spend in Poland before you came over?
Well, we came here in 1950, and I was born in 1941.
Okay. So, I mean, do you go back to Poland every so often, or have you not been back?
Yeah, I have been, but now since the majority of the kin folks that I knew, you know, they were older than me. They all passed away. So, you know, I really don't know anybody anymore. But yeah, my brother and I used to go just about every year.
Yeah, and my uncles are from Poland, and their favorite things, I remember this growing up and until the day one of them died, is they loved the Polish men's soccer team and they loved Ivan Putski. My God, they loved it. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my old home country.
Yeah, and we used to I don't know about you, but like I know you there was a great clip I was watching today. It was a TNT. It was you were on going over the Polish foods and the Polish beer. Do you drink?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you still drink the Polish beer or no? Because around here we have a guy from Poland that opened up his own.
No, I used to could get it, but the place doesn't carry it anymore. So
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, I tell you, I remember I never enjoyed food like I should have. My mother used to make golomki, borscht, pierogi, kruszczyki, all that good food, and I didn't think nothing of it till my parents passed away. Then I really missed that home cooking Polish food my mother used to make.
So before we get to the other stuff, I have to ask you, what's your favorite filling in a pierogi? I have to ask that.
Cheese.
Cheese is your favorite? Okay.
I used to make it with cheese and potatoes.
Yes, I love cheese. I love the potatoes. I love cabbage. Yeah. I love the cabbage, but my girlfriend doesn't like it afterwards.
Oh, yeah, golomki, yeah. Cabbage and rice, and yeah. That's another thing I miss, golomki.
Yeah, that's so... Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you're a Polak. You know all the good foods.
Oh, yeah, and it looks like it. But you, growing up, you like I said, you've always kept yourself in great shape. And one of the things I read about you, and it was a really nice thing on the WWE website. It said Ivan Putski is one of those rare individuals that could draw a crowd by simply smiling and being himself. And as a result, he'll go down in history as one of the most beloved and greatest superstars of all time. I got to agree with that. I think you're just a good man, and I think that's what kind of wrestler you were, too.
Hey, will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Tell this, what you just told me, tell my wife, okay?
Okay.
She's Nancy.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
Good. So I was telling your husband that on the WWE website, I read a quote, and I want to read it to you. Do you mind if I read it to you?
No, that's great.
It said, Ivan Putski is one of those rare individuals that could draw a crowd by simply smiling and being himself. And as a result, he will go down in history as one of the most beloved and greatest superstars of all time. And I really feel like that's what kind of person he is.
Well, he really is that kind of person.
Yes.
He really is.
He's got a huge heart, and that's the one thing that really... And that's why he's legendary in the Polish community. I mean, heck, he's legendary in the wrestling community. People love him.
Yeah, well, he enjoyed every bit of it, I tell you. He really, really did. So
what do you ever watch? I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been married, but when he was in the ring, were you nervous? Were you what?
Yeah, I was nervous, and my daughter was particularly nervous. She used to worry about him all the time. The boys loved it.
Yeah,
he would always. When he was in Texas, in Houston, he took all the boys in the ring, and she couldn't understand why she couldn't go.
And he was...
But they had some great times. Yeah, we used to travel with him and come home, and, we spent a lot of time on the road, but we wanted to stay here so that the kids could get a good education.
Yeah, and I feel like he was like a rock star wherever he went. People loved him. Like the Polish community would follow him from venue to venue. They really liked him.
Yeah, they really did. I experienced that several times when I went up north to visit him, and I was just in awe at how people would treat him.
And Nancy, and the thing is, he had so much pride in being Polish, and I think that resonated with people that are Polish. Like, they love to see that somebody had so much pride in their culture.
Yeah, well, and he's always been that way.
Yeah.
He was always that way.
Yeah, and go ahead, I'm sorry.
He never has lost his gift of talking the Polish language. He and his sister do it all the time.
So I have to ask you, do you know Polish?
No, I don't. I'm one of those that can't learn anything like any language, just but English.
So you don't know any, like, you couldn't name one? I bet you know a few words.
Oh, yeah, I know a few things. Yeah, he's taught me a few things, and I could tell when they would speak that when they were talking about me too. I could catch little glimpses of it.
That's so great. That's so great. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you guys been married for?
We were married in 1960. Yeah, 1960.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
October the 20th, 1960, long time.
But that's great. My parents have been married, I want to say 50 years. That's such a blessing. That's so great to hear that.
Yes, it really is a blessing. We have kids and grandkids and great-grandchildren. We just, we've got three great-grandchildren now.
Wow. What do the great-grandkids and the grandkids think about, their great-grandfather being a wrestler, and what is their reaction to that?
Oh, they love it. They love it. I know that he took one of my youngest son's boys to San Antonio when they had a show, and so there were football players, wrestlers, and everything, and so the promoter told him, said, you can have any picture that you want, and the only one that he wanted was his grandpa.
Oh, how sweet is that? That is so sweet.
Yeah, that is sweet. And he said, but I have to have another one for my brother, too.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, he has so many pictures of him, but that's all he wanted.
That's awesome. That is so great.
Yeah.
So you guys have a pretty big extent.
We've been blessed with great kids, I tell you.
Yes, for sure. And I was going to talk to your husband about that, how wonderful your children are, and I'm sure your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. You must be so proud.
Oh, well, we're very proud. We've got, all of them are good, and we haven't had any problems so far, knock on wood. They've all been great, but they, Joe, even though he was gone most of the time, the boys respected him, and I think that's what's so wrong with kids nowadays is they don't have the respect.
No, that's very true. That's very true. And I have to ask you one more question. What is your favorite memory of your husband as a wrestler?
I remember when I think we were in Nassau County when he was wrestling there, and he sang, and he sang "Melody of Love" to me.
No, he loves to sing, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But that was really special.
Okay, so I lied. I have another question for you. So that's an awesome memory. Which one of your husband's wrestling friends did you like the most? Did you find kindest and nicest of them all? Is that a fair question?
Well, I really didn't get around very many of the wrestlers, but every one of them even I always thought the bad ones were really, really bad, but I think the one I remember the most that came to our house was a Bruiser Brody from a long time ago.
No, I know Bruiser Brody. Yeah.
And I remember my daughter coming in and she said, "Mom, who is that big man on our couch?" And he was so good with the kids. He loved them.
Oh, that is so great. And most of those guys are great with kids. And, every time there's a kid that has that is sick or has a last wish, they always wish to be around these wrestlers. They're such good people, for the most part,
Yeah, they really are for the most part. I just really, it's amazing how they are.
Yeah.
There's some bad ones too.
That's true. No, you're right. There are ones that are not so nice. That's very true. We won't mention any names, but there are ones that are like that for sure. So have you gone back?
The majority of them are just good people trying to make a living, and that's it.
That's true. Have you gone back to Poland ever with your husband, or no?
No, I haven't been fortunate enough to go. He's been over there, and a lot of times with his mother, and taking his mother and his sister and his brother. They all went over there one time. But when you have 4 kids, you can't, come and go too much.
No, I understand. Yeah, and you have an extended family here. It's not like you can just pick up and go. I understand that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so it was so very nice to meet you, Nancy.
Well, it's nice to meet you, too. You sound like such a nice person. I hope to meet you someday.
Yeah, you're very sweet. I would love to meet you someday.
Okay, here's Joe.
Okay.
Hey,
See how lucky
was that?
You are. So lucky to have such a wonderful woman by your side. You are. So,
I tell you, she's the sweetest person I ever met or been around.
she has reaffirmed what I've already known about you. You love to sing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What's your favorite polka?
What do you call it? Da 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 da.
Yeah. Okay.
Roll out the barrel.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Roll out the barrel.
So I read her that quote, and she totally agreed with it. Yeah, and I told her that you had like a following. The Polish people had such. They loved you because you loved them and you loved being Polish, and that's really such a rare thing these days. They loved you because they looked up to you because you were so proud of your culture.
That's right, I really am. And the thing is, people aren't stupid. They can see right through you. They have these German wrestlers, Russian, which they really aren't. They're Americans, but see, I was really a real Polak, and they could see that.
Yeah, they could see that your heart was real. You weren't full of shit.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And so you live in Austin, Texas, right? And talk to me. And I read this, and if I'm wrong in this, please correct me. Did you work at an elementary school before you got into wrestling?
Yeah, I was a PE teacher.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah, I got my degree from Southwest Texas State. I played football, made all-conference running back at Southwest Texas State.
Wow.
And then I played in Canada, in Toronto, 2 years, till I had my knee operated on. And that ended my football career.
Yeah, how did you like being a gym teacher?
Oh, I loved it because in high school, the kids, they know everything, right?
Yeah.
But at elementary school, those little kids would do anything I tell them. And I try to, teach them everything, as young as they are. That's the time it sinks into them, and that's what they'll do. So I taught them everything I knew, how to do everything correctly, to run and breathe while you're running. I loved it.
Yeah, and I bet you talk about people being able to see the true character of people. I bet you, elementary kids aren't stupid. They saw that you had a big heart, too, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Hey, little kids, they're smart.
Yep.
I'll tell you that. And the way I got into wrestling, I was teaching in San Antonio, and this promoter, Joe Blanchard, you ever hear of him?
I have, yes.
Well, he's the one came up to me, and he says, try to get, first he talked to me, and I didn't, I said, I don't want to be a pro wrestler, and then the way he convinced me, he said, I'll tell you what do you make a year? And, at the time, the going salary for teachers was $5,000 a year if you were just starting.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah. So I said, he asked me, so what do you make in a year? What do you make at teaching? I said, around $5,000 a year. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee you $100,000 a year. And when he said that, I said, oh, come on. And that's what convinced me.
Yeah, and I read about your unbelievable life. I read about you and Bill Watts and these 2,000-mile-a-week trips. So
yeah.
it's
let me tell you, that territory, Oh, I've never traveled so much in my life.
Jeez, wow. And
yeah, oh, he had to. Matter of fact, see, I was in the base was Oklahoma City, and we were even wrestling in Kansas City.
How tough was the road to becoming a wrestler? Was it tough for you? Is it something you picked up quickly?
Well, see, I didn't mind it because I know what hard times really are.
Sure.
And I was, all my life up till then, it was, we were poor, and to me, we were in America, and we were the happiest people in the world, just being in America and being free. And I went through hard times, and then when I started wrestling, I saw my first paycheck, and I couldn't believe it. So I didn't mind. I'd have done anything. So, all that traveling was just a breeze compared to the reward I was getting. See? And I was just thankful and for everything.
Yeah, and you're always when I did a lot of research on your life, and I knew a lot about you to begin with, but you're always happy. I never see you in a promo or anything where you look like you're one of the very few guys, and you said this kind of earlier, you kind of were your character. Like, you were that happy guy. You were a good guy.
I was that. Yeah, it wasn't a character. It was me.
That was you.
Out.
Yeah, you never.
I was doing what you call natural.
Yep.
And I love the America, and I love the country, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. But I couldn't understand one thing. I never could understand why I see people bitching, complaining about this and that. Hey, I never complained about living in America. Greatest country in the world. They should be thankful that they're living here.
Yeah, things could be so much worse.
Oh, God, yeah. And I think God rewarded me, by, giving me this career that I had, in professional wrestling, and I was just lucky.
Yeah, and there was even...
I was, got a good wife and 4 kids. So...
Yeah, I mean, you never see that anymore. You never see somebody who...
No.
They're always, when they're the wrestling, when they're the character, they're always either over the top or they're somebody else.
Yeah,
You never see somebody like you who was just a good wrestler, a good guy, a good human being that was just happy and just... You never see that anymore. You don't.
Well, because I got things that I never had, and, living in America was the biggest reward anyone could get, and then having a job like I had, I loved what I was doing. I loved traveling, everybody was bitching, complaining about, oh, man, we got to get up, go early. Hey, I loved traveling and looking at the country on the highway. I was like a happy wanderer,
Yeah, and you put 20 years of your life into this, and
20 years. Me and another guy named Bruno Sammartino, he put in 20 years too, and Vince McMahon Sr., Junior, he told me, hey, I never had a guy stay in that territory as long as you did,
So, yeah, and that brings me to my next question. So say somebody doesn't know wrestling. What's the biggest difference between Vince McMahon Sr. and Vince McMahon Jr.?
Well, there's no comparison. Vince McMahon Sr. was such a good guy, just a good man. And I'll tell you, I'd bend over backwards for him. And Junior, Vince McMahon Jr., see, he's after one thing, that's to make money, which I don't blame him, but he doesn't have the personality his dad did. His Father was such a nice, loving man, and if any of the wrestlers had any kind of problem, he'd tell you, you just come on, call me or come talk to me, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and I think I read... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Junior wasn't like that.
Yeah, and I think I read something where you said if Vince Sr. had a problem, he'd sit down with you, he'd talk to you like a friend, like he had a but you don't see that anymore. That's a dying thing everywhere. It's too bad. It's too bad.
Yeah, and I could have wrestled longer, but after Junior took over, I just didn't have it. I just didn't feel, didn't have the enjoyment that I did with Senior, and after he took over, I just quit.
Yeah, do you ever look back on those? Like, when you look back, do you wish you stayed longer, or are you happy with the decision?
No, because I already put in my time with Vince McMahon Sr., and I want to remember it. I want to remember the times that I really, really enjoyed wrestling, and those were the times under Vince McMahon Sr. So I knew it wasn't going to be like under him, and I could tell just a different personality, and Vince Sr. was such a good man.
Yeah.
And so after the Junior took over, I quit.
Yeah, and I don't think there's many people that have a bad word to say about Vince McMahon Sr. I think he's a very well-respected man. Yeah, I agree.
He really was, boy, I tell you. Good guy. And his wife was such a sweetheart, boy, I tell you. Such a nice lady.
And, I was watching you on a Piper's Pit today, and I laughed so hard. It made me feel so good. And then there was another clip, and I mentioned it before, where it was a TNT. I think it was Lord Alfred Hayes and Vince McMahon Jr., and you were going over different Polish food and the dancing and the language.
Oh, yeah, we did that in Milwaukee.
Yes. Oh, it made me feel so good to watch that. I was so happy. It brought back such great memories.
I danced, everything. Is that the one?
Yes, you were dancing. Yeah.
I remember that. It was in Milwaukee, and they said, "Ivan, you want to dance a polka?" And there was this Polish girl there, because we were doing the promos. And I said, yeah, so we did the polka. They televised it, had it on TV and everything.
My favorite thing was you were talking about how important it was to, keep your body in good shape, and it's not just the gym, it's also what you eat. And then you were eating a kielbasa sandwich and pierogies. I couldn't stop laughing. It's so great.
Yeah, I was something else, boy. I tell you, I loved what I was doing. Never liked what I was doing so much as I did when I wrestled up there.
You and Tito Santana become tag champs in 1979. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it was around 79, right? And I started in the late 60s, and everybody, I was getting, kind of tired of just single matches, and so Vince McMahon Sr. came up to me and said, hey, there's another Texas boy that's coming in here, and his name's Tito Santana, and he said, what do you think about having a partner? And I couldn't wait. I said, yeah, heck yeah. So, so when Tito came, he was such a nice guy. Matter of fact, I saw him about 3 months ago. We were signing autographs there around New York. They fly me in every couple of times, 2-3 times every year, and I sign autographs. And I saw Tito, and reminisced a lot, but he's such a nice person. Good person, and I enjoyed being his partner. I'm just glad Vince picked him for me.
Yeah, just two good guys make a great tag team. I think he's a teacher, isn't he?
Yeah, he's teaching in Connecticut.
Wow, that's great. And in that match that you guys won those tag belts, you beat John.
I know it. Yeah. I said, Tito, don't you miss that warm Texas weather? He said, Joe, I really do, because I freeze my ass off every winter.
Yeah, and in that match where you guys won the titles, you beat Johnny Valiant. Johnny Valiant died last week crossing the street. He got hit by a car.
You're kidding.
No, he was hit by a car last week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, hit by a car last week, and he was younger. I think he wasn't old. Like he wasn't like he was just.
No, he was about my age.
Yeah, you guys are young, and I mean crossing the street.
Whoa, what did he die of?
He was crossing the street at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was he was crossing the street at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was hit by a car.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
Yes. I thought you knew. I apologize. I wouldn't have brought it up if you didn't know.
I didn't know. This is the first time I heard.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Oh,
yeah.
What a shame.
And I have to imagine he was a good guy too.
Oh, let me tell you, him and Jimmy, both of them were great guys. Really, really nice people, man. I tell you, I enjoyed being around them. And matter of fact, sometimes we traveled together until we got down to the town. He'd drop me off, back before the arena. But we had a good time. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, life is so short. It's just I was reading it last week, and I was so sad because he was, Johnny was just crossing the street like 6 o'clock in the morning, and somebody hit him. It was just like a freak thing. It was crazy. It's just unfortunate.
I can't believe
it. Yeah. So, in better news, you make the WWE Hall of Fame in 1995, and I know Scott, your son Scott, wants to follow in your footsteps. Was it hard for Scott to follow in your footsteps because his dad was such a well-loved and a great wrestler? Was it
yeah, it was, but he had got his degree at TCU in criminal justice, and his dream was always to be a detective. So after he did this, he wrestled for a little while, and then he saw his opportunity that he could in Dallas, Fort Worth. He got his opportunity to be a detective, and that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's a really successful guy. Isn't he working with juveniles?
Yeah, juveniles, right, exactly.
Yeah, so it must be in the genes to be wrestlers and work with kids. You guys offer so much, and he was a successful wrestler. I mean, it's not easy. He did a good job there too.
Oh, he did real good. He could have had a hell of a career, but he wanted to be a detective. So it was his dream. He always used to. I'd take him these detective movies, where they solve crimes, and he'd watch it on TV. He always wanted to be promote the law,
Yeah, that's he's lived an amazing life. And all your kids sound very successful. And I thank you for your time. I have a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about a few.
Let me, while I'm bragging on him, and my youngest son, he's vice principal now. He got promoted to vice principal in high school in San Antonio.
See, your family working with kids is in your genes. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really admirable.
That's my oldest son. He's a computer programmer. And my daughter teaches school in Kerrville, Texas.
Oh my goodness! So yeah. Now I'm definitely right. You have a teacher, a vice principal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, between you and I, the toughest job in America is probably vice principal.
Yeah,
that's
right.
You got to deal with some kids, and it's just very, very difficult, you know. And
it's hard. Yeah, he always tells me a lot of stories when I see him, you know. But hey, you know, that's just got to hang in there. I told him, I said, you know, you just got to put up with a lot of that.
Yeah, and you know, I wanted to ask you about a few people, and you know, right now on HBO, there's a special on Andre the Giant. What do you remember about Andre?
You know, we tagged up. Me and Andre were a tag team. A lot of times we tagged, you know, tag team matches,
yeah.
And hey, let me tell you, a nicer person I never met. And he'd give his shirt off of his back. He was such a good person. If you were needed something, hey, he was right there. I tell you, I really miss Andre. He was such a good guy.
Yeah, a very sweet guy, and what you're saying
nice
is...
person, good people, yeah.
Yeah, very good people. How about Bret Hart? What do you know? What's your opinion on Bret Hart?
Bret Hart, he was real nice. He came to New York and was there for a few years, but hey, he was a nice guy. Really nice guy, Bret Hart. Didn't he pass away or something?
His brother passed away. Owen passed away. But Bret.
Olin, that's what it was. Yeah. No, Bret was a real super nice person.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys, when they're coming up, they try really hard. They'll try maybe sometimes to embarrass you. He wasn't like that. He was a really good guy.
No, he'd help you out if he could. He never did. He never was like that. But you're right. A lot of them would do that. A lot of these old timers, I remember when I first started, try to do that. Hell, you just got to tighten up and drop it on them.
How about Roddy Piper?
Roddy Piper, he was nice. You know, real nice. I mean, he was real nice to me, and all. The memories I have, he was always laughing and, just nice guy.
Yeah. Just a few more. How about Ric Flair?
Ric Flair was real nice to me, you know. I mean, he was just one of the nicest people that I ever been around, you know.
Yeah, and I know you were closest to like superstar Billy Graham. He was one of your closer friends.
Oh man, that's right. We were real close. And I'll tell you another guy, Bruiser Brody. It's a shame what happened to him, but he would have been one of the really remembered names. I don't know if you remember him, but I broke him into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And here in San Antonio, and it's I'll tell you, he's such a nice guy too, real nice.
Yeah, your beautiful wife Nancy earlier was saying I think he was over the house for dinner one time.
Yeah, well, no, we were wrestling in Dallas, and I broke him in, so I'd take him with me. Every time we were booked, he was on the same card, so. In between Dallas and San Antonio is Austin. So on the way home, we came and I said, "Hey, won't you just spend the night at the house and tomorrow early in the morning, because we were booked in San Antonio the next day." And his name was Frank. And I said, "Frank, just spend the night and then." We'll go work out to the gym, and then time to go to San Antonio. We'll just go down there, and so that's what we did. And I used to every time we were on the same card, I'd take him with me, because he was just breaking in and learning the ropes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, in Polish they would say, Ty masz dobrze serce. You have a good heart, my friend.
Oh, yeah, dobre serce.
Yep.
That's right.
That's what they
You're
would
right.
Yeah. So
You speak it pretty good.
yeah, I lost it because my babcha taught me when I got older, and I never appreciated it as much as I should. Like, if we were to hang out...
You know, the thing is, you learned it. A lot of people that are first generation, they forget and they never learn. But, see, you had a good grandmother that spoke nothing but Polish. That's like my mother was. When we came to America, she never spoke English, and my wife used to say, boy, I wish she'd speak English to me, because, she didn't know how.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because my grandmother was lived to 102, and she was in the country for 60, 50 years, and she never, ever learned English. She was always just Polish.
My mother was the same way.
Yep.
Same way.
It's such...
And, she was... But, I tell you, I really miss my mother. She was such a good person.
Yeah, and that's what my sister does, and you talked about this, is, we try to talk to my mother and get recipes from her, because she makes great pierogis, great gołąbkis.
Oh, then that's right. The best cooks in the world, boy, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so what's your favorite...
I really miss her cooking.
Yeah, we were trying to keep it alive, so hopefully we can. And what is your favorite memory as a wrestler? What's your favorite? What's the one you look back on and you're so proud of?
When I won the world when I became the world champion, me and Tito.
Yeah, like winning the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Right.
How many of those guys do you keep in contact with? I know you said you saw Tito.
I used to. It's only time I see any of them is when we have these. When they have these shows where they have the old timers.
Yeah.
And but I don't see them anymore like I used to.
Yeah,
They're fading out.
Yeah, and you're in great shape. I've seen pictures of you. I know you live in Austin. You have I think 2.5 acres. What do you do with your? What are you doing these days? How do you keep your time busy?
Well, I got a workout program. After I work out, I come home and I got a great big yard, and that's where I spend all my time. I got a lot of tropical plants that I'm planting and. Take care of the yard. I tell you, that is work, but it takes time. I got a big yard, and it keeps me busy every day.
Yeah, and you are such a good father. You're a good husband, a great grandfather. You are a great great.
Yeah, I go see my wife and I. We go up to San Antonio. Dallas, and we see our grandkids. It's really nice.
Yeah, people.
Nice.
You have and I wasn't joking. You have a very good heart. And my last question to you is, what's the nicest thing a Polish or any fan has ever said to you? Do you remember? Is there a comment that you remember more than another one?
Well, it was in Milwaukee. After the match, there's a lot of Polish people there, and these people from Poland. They were from Poland. They just like us. They came over as immigrants, And he came up to me, and in Polish, he said, "We're so proud of you that you represent us in the best way anyone ever could." I really like hearing that,
Yeah, and Polish pride is real. It runs deep. The Polish pride runs deep.
Oh, yeah.
You guys know...
It, that's right.
Yeah, Go ahead.
During the American Revolution, this general, Tadeusz Kościuszko, helped Washington fight the British.
That's right. There's a bridge named after him, I think, in New York.
He brought over a whole division of Polish soldiers from Poland to fight the British for American independence. His name was Tadeusz Kościuszko.
Yeah.
I got his picture here.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you talk about guys that are brave and guys that are smart. Boy, was he both.
Yeah.
He was one of the biggest figures of the American Revolution for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. He was really. What just shows you what a good person he was, because he knew that Americans were fighting for independence. They were poor, had nothing, and so he brought over a whole Polish division on boats and helped George Washington.
And one of my favorite things, this will be the last thing I say, I could talk to you for 10 more hours. It's so fun. So one of the things is, one of the quotes we saw today was, you know what? Polish people make the best vodka and the best whiskey. The Russians take it from us and put their own labels on it and sell it as their own.
That's exactly what happens. You're absolutely right. And you know, I saw that. I saw they had a documentary about it on TV. He said, you think all this whiskey that comes from Russia is the best whiskey, but he said, you don't know it. The Polish people make it, and the Russian put their label on it.
That's right. That's right. Is there any final words you wanted to say before I let you go?
I guess I said everything, you know. What, you going to have this on radio or something?
Yeah, it'll be on iTunes. It'll be on every podcast network available. So wherever people can download it, people will listen, and they're gonna hear what kind of wonderful person. They already know you're a great guy, but they're gonna. And I'm gonna send you a copy, so it's gonna go.
Okay, I like to just say it. The last thing in Polish to all my Polish friends in America. Moi kochane Polacy, trzeba pamiętać, że jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, póki my żyjemy. I said, Poland hasn't wilted away yet. Not as long as the Polish people are still alive.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, you guys know him as Ivan Putski. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time. He's one of my all-time favorite people on the planet. You're a good man, and you have a big heart, and millions of people love you for that. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you, and I'd just like to say to all my fans that supported me all those years, thank you.
Thank you to Piper's Pit. Before we do, we'd like to state that the views expressed in Roddy Piper's Pit, those of Mr. Piper and his guest, not necessarily those of us here on the World Wrestling Federation Network. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we take you now to Piper's Pit.
I know you're supposed to be a great wrestler. I heard all kinds of stuff you do. I know that you can bench press 500 pounds, squat 700 pounds. I don't care about that. I see you get up here in the ring, and you get up and you sing. Ella Fitzgerald, you're not. I would rather listen to Lassie Bark than listen to you sing, brother. I am not intimidated by you at all. There's nothing you do that scares me at all.
You don't like my singing? Huh? You don't like my singing?
I think your singing stinks, and I wouldn't have it.
Moja droga, ja cię kocham.
I wouldn't have your singing on my...
Means that I love you so.